Alrighty, everybody. Welcome to Rise in Mind, super early morning edition.
We're getting hype. We're going down for real.
We have got an awesome show for you guys. So I'm Matt Crafton, and we have with us, as always,
CP Sketch.
CP Sketch.
Well, as always. So I don't know. Have I always been here?
I think you have. Secretly.
Even when I'm not here.
Well,
I'm always here.
So the first like 10 times or so that I did when it was Coffee and Contemplation, there was always this aura of like, oh, I wish I could talk to someone, because sometimes chat would be dead and I'd be trying to talk about the concept, and I'd be like, oh man, I wonder who would do this with me. I was always thinking like, I bet you CP would be down for this. And then eventually you came out and it was like, oh damn, yes, let's do this.
Matt's not a complete maniac. He can't just sit here for hours on end and be like, hey, I'm going to talk about this human condition with you. Like me.
And I tried. I would talk while I was doing art. So like I'd ask questions to no one and then like follow it up with, I don't know.
Well,
there's no one to talk to.
Since nobody talked back to me in the chat, and I've been talking to myself about this topic in my head while I draw. Here's a dump for you guys. I'm gonna say some really abstract shit.
Yeah, exactly.
That's cool.
Exactly.
That's a fun time. But yeah, welcome to Rise in Mind. Here we talk about the human condition, and we're gonna have a really good show today. This is a speed run edition because two things. The Viking here has to get out of here on a hard stop. He's got a big day, and which I can't imagine. I honestly can't imagine, because there's a hurricane up here in New England, and the fact that you're going to some kind of event, like
a music festival. Actually, it's an outdoor music festival with like tents.
Like, how is that not canceled? Like, is it windy there at all?
I'm supposed to be camping tonight, like in a tent.
Like, are you guys missing it down in New Hampshire? I mean, like it's fairly windy, and full disclosure, we may lose the power. So that's what I wanted to say. And part of the speed run is getting this out before the power drops. But Matt, you're going to a festival with people with tents, like in a hurricane.
So
all right, good luck, my friend.
Here's the deal, my dude. So you're over
New
there.
Hampshire doesn't give a fuck. They don't cancel things, obviously.
I'm gonna put. I gotta slide your camera over here, and then I gotta
don't worry about those details.
No, I'm gonna.
You don't want to see my whole face. You don't want to see my whole face. It's too much. It's too radiant.
We're gonna talk about weather for a second as part of our intro. We're still just in the intro, right?
All right, bud.
So go to share. Where is it? Here's the button. So we're in the weather app. Right. So here's why I don't understand why New Hampshire isn't a mega city by now. Because of the Appalachian Mountains, right? Here we are, New Hampshire. And then look at Maine. Like, you guys do not have enough mountains to stop this shit from coming in.
I'm on kind of a mountain. I don't know my exact elevation, but we are at a higher point. So
like the whole state might be at a elevation, but do you have like peaks to like break up mountains? Like it actually will affect the weather. You can even see it happening. Like there's Mount Washington in this area right here. There's almost nothing there. And then if we play the radar.
Yeah, it's coming for me, dude. Like
it is. The difficult part is hitting you around the time we're supposed to be done.
Dude, if we lose the power, that's one thing. I don't want a tree to kill my stuff. I'm in the woods, man. I'm shitting bricks. We're not supposed to have hurricanes. It's like I'm turning into Bill Paxton. Game over, man. Game over. We're fucking done, man. I'm gonna lose everything. Well, hopefully I can kickstart it. CP lost everything. Give him a new home.
How young are these trees? Are they like?
Oh yeah, they're tiny. No, they're fucking giant trees, dude. I'm like everywhere.
I mean, like, are they old and dry? Are they gonna? in danger of like cracking open and?
The one in like 25 feet in the middle of my yard is partially rotted.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. So there you go. Then I have a one that's a hard lean on the back end. Then I have a dead, I think willow tree that needs to come down, but there's a possibility it could come down on my bedroom. So I got 3 angles. We're gonna get cleaved in half. We're gonna get smashed in the ass down there, or we're gonna get hit in the bedroom on the nose. But if it crashes on any, if I live through it, then I get new stuff. Because as I have said, Dreamers Arcade is under renovation and things just keep breaking every day. We're without a hot water tank for the last 2 weeks. So hey, maybe we just wreck this thing and I sell my sob story to the I've lost everything, and then we replace this fucker into a new model. I mean, I love the mid-century, but we're living in it here, dude.
Wrong button. Okay.
So what's we talking about today, boss?
Who are you?
Who are you? My name's CP Sketch. It's good to CP, but it's not good to CP on your pants.
That's your label. That's the label you've been given. But who are you?
CP. It's my initials. It's the initials for my name, and it's my business.
But who gave you your name? Sketch. Did you give you your name?
I was named after a road sign. My government name there. It's I'm not doxing myself, but you can figure it out. I want you to try to figure it out. But
we'll figure it out.
It's not Chris. It's not Chris, but there's no town of Chris, there's no town of Chris up here. So if you go through main towns, I'm named after one of them. But so there's your clue. And I went up, they saw this road sign because my folks put tons of skill into things. They ruminate for hours just like us. They build these amazing projects, and no, they just drove by and they they go, hey, that's a good name. They were gonna go with Bartholomew, which seems ridiculous and kind of biblical, and they're not. But I could have been Bart, dude. Like in the 90s. You could have been Bart Sketch in the 90s. Yeah. Well, I know this guy who
BP Sketch instead.
There's a local artist, shout out. His name's Bartholomew Powers. He does some cool artwork, and he goes by B Art, like Bart. And I was like, that's cool. He B Art.
Cool.
B Art. So I could have done something like that, and then we'd run into each other and be like, dude, you're grabbing my bit, dude. And he'd be like, dude, I did this before. I'm older than you. What the fuck? And it's like, I don't know.
All right, so that's
CP.
That's all very interesting. But that doesn't actually answer the question. That's your moniker. That's the name that collection of cells has been given so that other people can identify you.
Okay.
But that's not who you are.
Who are you? Who is your daddy?
What does he do? So the second part of Arnold's statement there, what does he do? That's not even who you are. That's just your occupation.
Well, I mean, I'm a body. I'm a biological. I'm a body. I can do things with my body.
So now you've answered what you are.
A biological meat sack.
Yes, but who are you?
It's not me. That's not me. This beard.
That's not you.
This beard isn't me. I don't feel this. You don't feel this.
That's what you are. So like, you're an artist.
Mm-hmm.
That's
I got a cap. What? This proves it. This proves it. I got a cap and a beard. Look at me. Look at a profile.
See, my hat's always slightly off kilter, and that's how I'm an artist. Is my hat's never like straight. There we go.
Oh, hello. I'm just painting here in my studio.
So
shit like that.
That's what you do.
Oh, so
and then the meat sack is what you are. And then your name is what you are called, but none of that is who you are.
Why are you in blowjob position?
Oh, because I'm so into it.
He's just casual. That's who you are. Let's find out what you really are. Take off your pants, CP.
Oh my god.
It's like You know, this guy told me. I love this guy.
Do I
He's
need
so
a
much
lewd?
like he's like.
Do I need a
you know,
lead counter for this stream too?
Oh, dude, you'd just be doing that all day.
All day.
You just be doing it, just assume that it's constantly lewd. This guy sends me the good morning text and whatever. He's like, I gotta take a shower. Jesus Christ, I gotta take a quick shower. And I was like, yeah, go for it.
You have to read
He's
it
like,
word for word if you're gonna talk about this.
Oh, I'm just paraphrasing. I don't even have my phone. It's see, the thing is,
I
when
put
you
a
have
lot of thought
when you
into
live
that
in Ryzen Mind
sentence.
Studio, look, I got an orange, a Ryzen Mind folder, and a Ryzen Mind phone. And when you set them on top of each other and they're behind a microphone, you know, stuff disappears. It's like predator camouflage. Yeah, I'll read it. Oh, okay.
So,
I can hear myself.
I took a lot of thought into this text that I sent you to sort of instill an image in your mind.
He's a modern day Shakespeare. Let me tell you. He's a Henry fucking David Thoreau.
I'm like the Ernest Hemingway of Instagram.
Wouldn't I be more Ernest Hemingway? Wasn't he like a grumpy fuck?
We're all grumpy fucks.
You're a lot more chill than I am, dude.
Oh, I do keep a lot. I keep a lot inside. There's a lot of thoughts that go through my head. Some days, like I'm just gonna burn it all down. It's like some.
He didn't say that. It wasn't an actual reality. It's a metaphysical fantasy of stress.
Yeah, we've talked about this on the show a couple times, though.
One is not intending to burn anything down.
No, not yet.
Is CP sketch. No, space fucking. If it happens, I'm somehow incriminated now. We are not going to do. I don't know the fucking law. I'm not a lawyer.
Dude, no, this is
just like here, we're not professionals.
This is called speculative. Like they can't actually, you can't do anything if someone just says stuff like this. But what I'm
all right, Johnny Cochran.
We just there are just days when like my grumpiness comes out in the form of like looking at society and being like, can we just not? Like some days I just wake up and I'm like, I don't wanna. Can we just not do this?
Yeah. It's frustrating.
Yeah.
Because we're men of lesser means. I guess we can brand ourselves there. We're men of lesser means, which is problematic because we're like, if you want to define us even further, I can hear like an echo too. I don't know if you have.
Are you? Do you have the audio on my stream on?
No, I can hear it in the Discord. Like every once in a while, I'll hear like a. You know, maybe that's not
coming through the screen. That's not coming through the stream. I mean, the screen is just screening at me here.
I don't know. You're the editor. Deal with it later.
I will. We'll get it in post.
Okay, so what this guy said earlier, just to stay on this topic here. I go, yeah. Wait. Gotta heat up coffee. Might take a super fast shower to wake me up a bit. I go, yeah, you have time. I don't have enough orange shirts. That's a Ryzen Mind shirt.
Yep.
For all of you who don't know, this is a Ryzen Mind shirt. All you gotta do, I tell you how to get Ryzen Mind swag, man. It doesn't matter. You go anywhere, you find orange, you find the best value, and then you got some Ryzen Mind UV paint right there. You got a Ryzen Mind. You know, go to the box store and get, you know, he's got one too. You know, they're not hard to find.
I got my Ryzen Mind hat here.
Yeah, you get your Ryzen Mind phone case here. You know, it's really fairly simple, and it supports us. And you just tell people like, yeah, this is my Ryzen Mind phone. And they're like, what? What's that mean? And, oh yeah, here, check them out. So that's all we got to do. And you know what annoys me more than anything is when they like Nike or something, they put the name on it, like a symbol, a little swoosh in the corner. We get it. But like, I just, you know, I want a hat. You know, it's like Nick Miller said to Tran, I like your hat because it's just blue. It doesn't have a name on it. It's just blue. Yeah. And that's CP. No, we don't need to put our names on things. Just when you see orange, you know we're close. And so he says, I don't have enough orange shirts. I emerge from the water chamber, a new man. You know, you kind of get that vibe. He's really taken the time to structure his sentence. I don't think he used voice to chat. He's put an exclamation point. Very good. And then he goes, and also naked. Or I don't know how that tone would go. I would say, and also naked. You know, that would be, I think of it superhero pose. Like, I don't have enough orange shirts. Kind of like, I don't have enough orange shirts. I emerge. I would have said, but I emerge from the water chamber, a new man. Because I read them all together.
Yeah.
And also naked, you know? And I go, ha ha ha, we almost just lost the power. Oh shit, do we have a chance? Do we chance it? Not getting internet single. Give me a sec. Router will take a minute. Power went off and on like 4 times. And then it's like, mic's not working, all this kind of shit. But you know how it goes. So we're going good, pretty good. We've got this much of the segment. We know what we are. We know what I do. Everything from you know, carpentry to artistry, and that's not in alphabetical order. Everything from artistry to carpentry.
Oh, man.
And that's only ABC. Hey baby, it's OCP and Matt. Rise and mine, rise and shine, even though it's dark, motherfucking outside.
CP. This is starting to like frustrate me. We got Google over here. I was like, how do we answer who we are? I asked Google, right? And even Google is trying to like put us back into our cage. It's like, exhibit your skills and abilities. Again, that's not who we are. Summarize yourself in a few meaningful words. Nope, those are just words. That's not who you are. Present yourself as self-motivated person. Why? Like, that's what? Emphasize your experience with results and numbers. So our experiences can create a different way of being who we are, because we learn over time. Like, and then it talks about conviction. Like, that's a personality trait.
Oh my God, hold on. This is even wilder. So you're this is blowing my mind right now. So you're getting into some real deep dive territory, right? Because we're talking about how,
and we're just breaking ground. Like, that's the crazy thing. Hold on, wait, I gotta.
I mean, it is a speed run. We're in the deep dive now.
Oh God, we're
30 seconds in.
Breaking ground, guys. Here we go.
Oh yeah, so we're breaking ground. We're trying to figure out who we are and not what we are, and we're realize we're being sidelined by different reality, the reality that is fed to us, the reality that is promoting a world that circulates within money and maybe not human values. We'll get more into that in the deep dive. One thing I want to mention, you're talking about all this stuff and how Google is throwing and eschewing it. Well, I've got the subtitles on for some reason on your channel. Yeah. And it was breaking it down what you were saying. And you know, they suck. Right? You said what you said, but not once did you say arcade shipment, right? You didn't say arcade. It said arcade shipment.
Yeah, arcade.
No,
something like that.
Arcade. Yeah, so arcade is arcade, right?
Yeah.
Because it knows me. And then at one point it said Alzheimer's.
Oops. Oh no.
And like and so in my life, and I've never even searched for this. I'm dealing with having a long-lasting friend with relationship with 2 older people that are slowly suffering from memory loss, and I help them. They employ me. I work with their son. It's kind of like assisted living until it gets real bad, but together they work well and everybody's safe. That's my primary concern. So I'm dealing with that reality of like, it's sad, man, to see your hero, maybe speaking of who you are, who he is, he's still the body of the man, which is old and aging and tired, but he's not that person as much anymore. And he may not be that person. And then in addition, I also have a professor, my mentor, old Pete. He's a bit trendy. He's great. He's writing a graphic novel about surviving Hurricane Katrina, losing most of his art, and starting a family. And feeling, and he feels like, you know, he was a scoundrel and not a good person. So for a while he felt, this is karma. This is God. This is God saying, like, you're a shithead. Your life isn't going to be good. He believed that for a long time because, I mean, it was falling apart. But then he starts to see the bigger picture when he got older. Like, it's like, oh no, everybody, has struggles, and a lot of people experience Hurricane Katrina, and it's interesting to experience it from his perspective. But within the story, he had to take a break because his wife had a mother, and she was a beautifully kind person from what I heard, but because of Alzheimer's, she became very mean. And he goes, I don't want to write her that way, but that's what was going on. So I want to tell the truth, but I don't want to I really don't want to depict my wife's mother, my kids, grandkids in that negative way. And he had to try to figure it out. How do I write that? And he's started this summer, and he has a small exhibition up here at the university.
Mm-hmm.
But it's sad to think that these bodies, these brains, in time, they like a car or anything, they just, parts of them stop working. And that beautiful new car you bought, after a while, like, you're like, I hate you, car. None of you works anymore.
Are they not still in there though? Like, that's like, you'll have these like glimmers of like, oh, you're still you. Like, you'll see it or feel it.
Oh no, they're still there. It just what I like about it is I hear a lot of the same stories, and to the point where as being someone who can do impersonations, I do them sometimes, and I think unless I get Alzheimer's, which thankfully we're making giant breakthroughs with this technology, so let's fingers crossed that we've come a long way in the future, and we can eliminate something like that, because it is very detrimental to see someone that you love shift. And yeah, they're not hostile in any way, so that's good. I'm accepting the reality that the person the old timer that I love the most may tell me to fuck off one day, but I won't hold it against him. I understand that it's not him. Like, I suffer from depression, and there are times when it's not me, it's me dealing with a really significant low and feeling hopelessness, and I can't pick myself up. So how do I inspire you guys? And then there are other times where it's on the other end, kind of like now, where I have a lot of energy.
Well, there's an interesting thing in the disabled persons communities, where you're not your disability. And I think to the same sort of concept, those people that you're so fond of and you're worried about them like degrading, like, they're not, like, their brains are an organ, like, it's something that just can fail. And that's, again, like, your collection of cells that makes up your body, that's not really who you are. That's just your vehicle.
And back to the body, you can see more visually when someone's aged, or when someone has a injury, or they've obviously we all go to the market and we see someone on crutches, we see somebody who's temporarily disabled, and you're like, oh yeah, I can understand that reality, because a lot of people have experienced it, even that, and so they can contextualize it. But because neuroscience is so like new, we've come a long way, we still can't record dreams, we still can't really get into each other's heads, and we have to just we're really just taking our heads. I'm taking my head and perceiving what your head is thinking, but you could be like, CP, you stupid motherfucker, like, and like someone like me, I look for signs in people, I look for nuance and like change, and it's like, and then you don't know that about me. Why? It's like, from someone who suffered from trauma, if you are in a hostile environment all the time, you got to walk in. It's like going to war. You don't just pop your head up out of the trench, hi, shoot me. You put a scope or something, or you creep around. You have to be cautious, and like, how's everybody doing today? What's the day I can ask this person for help? What's the day that they're upset? So you're trying to figure that stuff out, but you really don't know. You have to look at the physical signs. And with this couple in particular, they're still there. I've known them for 30 years, so probably at least. And because of the way memories work, it's the way the memory works. They remember a lot about me because they have that old and ingrained stuff in the back of their brain.
Yeah.
And their short term is shit.
There's a phrase that comes to mind immediately when you say that this is usually referring to when people like come back from college or work at a job for a long time and they come back to like a group of friends. It's like the group of friends will be treating that person as if they're still the person from before they left. Because they have a preconceived vision of who that person is. And like when I came back from college, my friends kept expecting me to play dumb for laughs, and they didn't get it. They didn't get the new me, and it took a while for them to warm up to it. It was like 2 years before I started hanging out with them again.
You don't have to play dumb with me. I know you're dumb as shit, dude, and I love you. No, I'm just kidding. But no, you did that. You performed. Did you perform for people for attention?
All through elementary school, and then middle school, and then high school.
Bro,
all through all of that, I still like that. That's just like, it's why I felt really honored that you shared your real self with me. Because I noticed that you'd just like, you'd play in that way. And I'd be like, now this guy's much deeper than he's putting on. Like from the moment I met you, they'd be like, nope, there's a lot going on in there.
I have to have a certain amount of lightness and fun because I research stuff a lot for purposes of interest. I perpetually have always needed to learn. With an ADHD brain, I need a lot of stimulation. So I'm always figuring out stuff. So I have a lot of useless information, but I also am hard on myself. So when I was going to school, I was watching like ITV casts of my history class constantly in the background while drawing. And I downloaded as much of this stuff. And I have peers that are like, hey, I wish I could remember all this stuff. And I was like, oh, it was a lot of work. But it's there. And I don't want to always floodgate people. I don't want to intimidate people with information. I don't want people to feel less than, like, I don't want to be like, oh, I know all this. I want to just be a normal human being in gel. I want to be fun. I want to be funny.
But did you fall into the trap where you would make yourself small to make room for others, and then you were less of yourself, and then you felt unfulfilled after?
Yeah, it's like the Jim Carrey thing where he says depression, you need deep rest, depressed, like depressed from yourself, because a lot of us hold up these avatars, these archetypes that are expectations of that world you just Google search. Like, because I have a lot of depression because I'm trying to imagine that I'm more successful in my head. Like within my marriage, my wife loves me, but I'm like, when I saw her family for the first time and in their homes, I was like, oh, this is different. This is not my family. It's a step up above the rest. We're jumping from the bottom of the baseline to, the middle. And I was like, yeah, I'd like to try to figure out how to do this. And isn't this what my wife expects? So I can't let her baseline dip down to here. So it became a constant struggle of like, oh, I got to be financially stronger. And in some years some years I kill it, and I'm always willing to work, but being self-employed, it's tough. And then starting on level 1 when your parents are also on level 1, it's hard to get to fucking level 8. There you go.
Yeah, it is. It's sometimes that makes the so like similar to a Dark Souls game, sometimes it makes that next level or that next section all the sweeter because you made it through. You made it through that. You got to the next level and it was so difficult, but you made it and you're here, and now there's something even more difficult on the horizon, but now you're stronger.
One thing I will say in response to that, you have to have a high rate of failure in life. And I know we can't all do that.
Should we bring up the Rise in Mind mantra?
What's that?
you know, the famous cat Cheese It said this famous line that we've used as our mantra now.
Yeah, do you have it out the top of your head?
I do. That's why we have a Rise in Mind links section.
Whatever, dude. You can see, motherfucker. This is why Matt's a dumb shit, man. This is why he's a fucking moron. No, I'm just kidding.
I'm not calling you. I'm not calling you dumb, man. Why are you trying to retaliate?
No, it's a bit. So I
we brought it up here on screen. Life cannot be lived without pain, uncertainty, and constant work.
That cat knows some shit. That's from
attributed
Philip Stutz, by the way.
Philip Stutz.
Attributed to Philip Stutz. Yeah.
Oh, that's the cat. This cat's name is Philip Stutz. His face actually looks like a Stutz.
That's Philip Stutz right there.
Yeah.
Stutz is a New York-based psychologist. Well, I don't know what his qualifications are, but watch Stutz on Netflix if you want to see the relationship between he and Jonah Hill.
Yeah.
And honestly,
are you
don't cancel me, because a lot of these guys in the DeFranco section have been canceled, so I don't know who's canceled today. I don't give a fuck. I don't watch a lot of that celebrity shit.
Honestly, don't worry too much about it. When it comes to cancel culture, like some people out there do deserve to be canceled, but other people it's too quick. It's too funny. Yeah. It's too quick though sometimes, right? It's too quick.
You brought that up.
Like it's days. It's like a day or less that this person becomes canceled, and it's like you don't even know half the story, and you're already like ready to vilify this person.
Give me a chance to broadcast it like the Herd Depp thing, you know? Let's give us a fair narrative. No, it's interesting you said that too, because
let me
yesterday
we're gonna get way too off topic. I need to reel it in if you don't mind.
All right, let me just say this one sentence.
Okay.
I said to my wife in the car, I was like, people are assholes to other people like way too quick. Just that same thing. I was like, you know, a guy could have killed somebody and I could still accept them, you know, in my life, or assaulted somebody, or, you know, whatever way. And I'm like, you don't know the story. And if it happened once, usually I can give someone a pass. If it happened twice, I want to know the details. If it happened 5 times, you're probably a Cosby. You know, when it happened thousands of times, when you're a Cosby or a Weinstein, I'm not getting behind that, dude.
On a scale of 1 to Cosby.
On a scale of 1 to Weinstein.
Where are you?
Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, where are you? All right, moving on. What's this part? Give people a chance, man. People fuck up.
So we're in breaking ground. We're about to be out of it, so we're just gonna break ground real quick. We're gonna get through it. So I have up a collection of things of the question of the month. So they're actually asking the same question that I am. I had to go to a philosophy page. I had to actually go to like 6 different links before I found the one that's asking the right question, because we live in a society that we are our ego. Like people are like, I'm my job, I am my family, I'm a father, I'm a people will say like I'm a mother, they'll say I'm a grandmother, like they'll say things like that. It's like that's not who you are. And like we have a mutual friend, our buddy Jesse and his wife. So
sorry, I just did a double take. I don't mean to interrupt you, but your cat, I'm so tired. Your cat literally walked across your screen. Yeah, it's doing it now. Yeah. And I thought the cat was walking across my table. Oh, and I go, there's no cat in here. And I'm okay. Sorry, that really fucking jump started me.
That actually makes a lot of sense.
It screwed my reality up.
There's a
your friend Jesse.
Our mutual friend Jesse and his wife. So when they had their daughter, they actually had a crisis of identity, because their society pushes it on you so much that if you have a child, you are now that. That's what you are. Is what society tells you. Oh, you have a kid? All right, you're a dad, now you're a mom. And Margaret and Jesse were having so much trouble with that whole, like, I don't want to be just this. And it took friends like you and I to tell them, like, you're not just that. Get a babysitter, come out with us. And they're like, but I'm supposed to be a good mom. You're still a good mom if you're still yourself. And it took a lot of like unprogramming for them to like be like, oh, okay, yeah, we can go do the things and not worry about being a mom or being a dad. It's like, no, you're more than that. You're not just that. And society does that with so many things. The whole reason why I'm bringing this up is because society does that with your job. Society does that with the amount of money you have. Like who are you? Oh, I'm successful. No, that's not who you are. Like what the that's again like with this.
You stressed real difficulties in the past. Like we've had this conversation where it's like I can't stand when you go up to people at a party and you're like, hey, what's going on? And my name's Matt, my name's Chuck, and it's like, yeah, what's up? It's like, oh, I'm an accountant for whatever, and I got a kid, and they but then I said to you at the same time, I go, but like we're different. We could walk up to a stranger and be like, what's your favorite color, before we even ask their name.
I want to actually let's just do a little mock thing, like hey, I'm Matt, how you doing?
Hey, my name's Samantha.
Hey Samantha, I got a question for you.
What you didn't call me on that? You didn't be like that's an interesting name. My name is Samantha. And this is me.
I don't judge.
You're gonna be you don't fine. Okay, he's a nice guy. I'm Samantha, but they call me Sweet Cheeks.
Well, I'm not gonna. I see what you're doing there. I see what you're doing there. So would you like to be called Sweet Cheeks from a person that identifies as male?
Are you asking me a question as a CP in the show, or
I'm asking Samantha if she actually wants to be called that.
Right,
I want to know the deeper meaning. I want to know who she is. Is she even a she? Like,
okay, you start over.
No, we don't need to. Well, that's just it. We don't need to start. Are you still Samantha though?
No, I'm getting back into it. Start over.
Like, oh hey, I'm Matt. How are you doing?
Oh hey, I'm Samantha. They call me Sweet Cheeks. How you doing?
Do only your friends call you Sweet Cheeks?
No, just usually the people at work.
Just the people at work. Oh, do they normally treat you that way, or is that a name you prefer, or is it something that you just accepted?
Oh, it's part of my work. It's part of a non-diplome that I have in the industry. What do you do?
Oh, see, I'm an artist primarily, and then I work in homelessness on the side, sort of to pay the bills when it's kind of dead for the art. But that's just what I do. But
oh no, that's cool. I was homeless for a while. Oh. I really have a high respect for that. So that's good work. Circumstances.
Thank you. That tells me a lot about who you are.
Oh, see, now we're getting deep. So that's what you want, though. But you don't.
That's how I do that politely. So like the last time we talked about this, you took it as a like I might be being mean about it. But I'm just very quick to shift the conversation to like I want to know more about. I don't care about what you actually do for work. I care about your values, like who you actually are. And that's sort of gets to like a lot of these articles that I've brought up here. These answers to this question. Are from a bunch of different people. I don't know if they're actually philosophers or if they're credited to anything in particular, because it just gives their name.
Looks like a site to sell books, right?
It pretty much is. Everything's to sell something, but there's a great thing at the bottom here I wanted to touch on because it's short and sweet, and since we're trying to like be quicker about it today,
yeah, we're doing good.
I want this person answers this question with, I want to answer your question by paraphrasing the originator of psychosynthesis, Robert Assagoglio. I'm gonna try to pronounce that.
His name is it really ASS? It starts.
It is, but it's a foreign. It's not English, so don't worry about it.
Oh, thank God! But poor guy.
Except.
Man.
Like words have changed over time though. We can do a whole episode about that. We did do an episode on language, but we didn't do an episode on phonetics. We did an episode about like how language has evolved, but it's funny how like phonetics changes things. Like that word just used to mean you're being hard to work with. It used to be a word that like you would describe your donkey who's not. Like it wasn't an insult.
I didn't think you were gonna say donkey. It's really a word that you use to explain your dong.
Yeah, your dong.
I thought you said dong.
So this guy, right? So this is why they just need to leave last names off of things because it distracts too much. Again with the labels.
His name is ASS. I feel bad. That's like your name starting with
That's
motherfucker or something.
That's also one of those things.
Hey, I'm CP motherfuckereth. Like
That's
my
one of
name is
those-
motherfuckereth or
So
something.
if your legal name is motherfuckereth, the polite thing to do is just, if you see it on a form and you're working in a place where you need to read their full name out loud, you literally just say it. And if you have to react, you smirk and you move on. You don't make a fuss about it.
If I was on a Zoom meeting, I would be like, I'd be like, and then we have your name is Steve. How do you pronounce that? Say.
Oh yeah, then you can make sure. Yeah, that's good. So this guy says
like, motherfuckereth. Steve motherfuckereth is, and you just go with it, because they already said it. Your name's not buttfucker 3000. Sorry.
It's Assagioli. That's what it is. Assagioli. So it's Robert Assagioli.
Assagioli.
Yeah. He says, I have a body, but I'm not my body. I have emotions, but I'm not my emotions. I have a mind, but I am not my mind. I have roles to play in my life, but I am not any of them. I am a center of pure consciousness.
Preach, ass man. All right.
Yeah.
Man, the ass man knows what's up.
I like that. So, center of pure consciousness is probably the best way to describe who you are, because the way we react to things in the world does say a lot to who we are, how we show up, how we drive this vehicle that is our body, what we do with it. Full disclosure, this is actually the second time that we've talked about this subject. And I've had a lot of time.
You're breaking the fourth wall.
Well, that's what we're about, man. I thought we talked about this.
Right.
That's what we want to do.
We're breaking right into your house and into your mind.
So
with Psycho Mantis.
So because I'm a human being with flaws, I lost the episode where we did this. This was actually going to be the first episode of the show originally, and now it's going to be probably the fourth or fifth instead.
It was going to be an important episode, so I'm sure Matt put it in an important folder. That's
no,
just for the important start of the show. That's importantly buried somewhere he'll never find it.
So
this right here.
At the time,
there it goes.
At the time that we were recording this, I was reading a book called "We Are Our Deeds," and I talked briefly about it on the episode. And that book has this entire chapter basically talking about how you show up in the world is really how you show who you are. And I kind of agree with that. And that's sort of how I've built that philosophy to mean in my head. And I know it's going to be different for a lot of people. But for me, I really do feel like we are our deeds. Because if you want to show the world who you are, it's going to show in your action. It's not going to be it's not going to be how you look, what your job is, how much money you make, how many kids you have. It's going to be how you treat your kids, how you treat your coworkers, what you do.
If it impacts your job, if you show up hungover every day, and you lose your job, and then it impacts who you are even more so, because unfortunately that's part of who we are, because it's the sub world of cash, which we'll get into. And I'm queuing up this break, this deep dive, just so I remember.
That's wow. And, well, you and I are starting to get a little bit in sync here.
Deep.
Because I was just barely clicking.
We've done this one before.
I was clicking it. I was clicking it as you were saying it.
Okay, we're into the deep dive where we dig a little bit further. Get out your drills, get out your shovels, and let's kick in. Yeah, so that is the thing. When you define yourself, who you are by your job or whatever, we have this is how I view things. So this is I don't like to say in my opinion and stuff. It just seems like it's proper, but it seems like an asshole thing to do. I don't know if you feel that way. In my opinion, it feels like actually to me. It just feels like in my opinion, I assume it's always in your opinion unless you're reading something that is documented. If you're docket 999 says that's obviously not my fucking opinion, but if I'm hey, yeah, I think it's hot outside, that's my fucking opinion. Come on, we know, bro. So, hey, Inky Cam, fucking bonus for you. This generally never happens, but I guess we got up an hour early and we caught the little beast in bed.
Well, she's enjoying the new desk setup. She was not sleeping in her bed where it was over there, and now she loves it.
Those motherfuckers, speaking of identity, like we can classify cats with identity. Those motherfucking cats, they love change. They love change. I don't like change as much, but I can deal with it now.
They really dislike the process though. Like when it's happening, they're like, oh, I don't want any of this. And then when
so that's just now I'm just freaking out because that's your cat, right? We're talking about identity. My house is torn apart, but they were raised in it, right?
Yeah.
They came into a house that's been under construction because I'm always under construction myself, and so is my home at this point.
Well, there you go.
When I rip a wall down, they're like, hey, all right, let's fucking play. Let's climb this 2x4 support now. And it's like always an evolving playground. Now, Inky, like not so much, probably grew up in a place that didn't move around as much. So when you get ambitious, right?
She grew up
your
here.
Cat's like, yeah, your cat's like, fuck, dude. But at the end of the day, like, so Inky's like me. I don't like the change when it's happening. I don't like when it starts. I can deal with it towards the end, but I'm happy as shit sleeping in my bed. A good thing happened.
So you said you were about to say, in your opinion.
In my opinion, no, I don't even know what we were talking about. The deep dive. In my opinion, there are two separate realities. We've created two separate realities. There's the one that we should be primarily focused on. It is our values, our humanity, and those are the things that drive us. Like if you value art, you should drive yourself with art. Don't define yourself just as an artist. Define yourself as someone who values art. And if I value art, then I should provide art, and I should provide art publicly too. I should give it for free, and I should give it for money to support myself so I can make more art. And also, if I have money, I can buy other people's art and support them financially. The trouble is with that, in a different reality, we would just get together and we'd trade art, or we would trade time, or in a certain thing, but we change paper. And why does we exchange paper? Because we need to pay bills. So if it wasn't for bills and responsibility, we'd be homeless. And we'd live a different world. And I've always entertained that. I see people who are homeless, and sometimes it's tragedy, a lot of times, but sometimes it's an ideological choice. It's a nomadic choice, especially for the younger people you see kind of backpacking. They're like, no, I'm gonna experience the world, and I'm gonna travel and wake up every day. You've said this before, where it's like I hit reset and it's a new day. My shit's just all chaining together at this point in this world of money. Gotta make this money to fix the hot water heater, to do this, to do that. Gotta pay this, and it's like it's a perpetual driving machine, dude.
I'm glad you mentioned that, because I actually, back when we talked about that, was a different time for me, and I had.
Oh,
I've no. We can stop quoting other podcasts, man.
That's now just Hogan, man.
Oh, no,
that's
it's
just
not.
Hogan.
No, the wool is like they've taken it. They've taken it. We now have to? No, but here's the thing: if we quote a podcast on the show, CP, what we have to do now is that is from Dudesy Podcast. For fans of the podcast,
oh my
please go listen to them, because they're awesome.
I'm a facepalm, dude. I'm a facepalm.
If you don't say that, they're gonna fucking
no. They're not gonna sue us.
They're not sue us. It's not about suing us. It's about our creative integrity. If we quote someone, we say their name. If we talk about another person, we respect their creative integrity, and we say, okay, yeah, that's this other podcast. They're awesome. We're gonna quote them a lot.
Oh fuck. Yeah, you've got a point. Oh man, we could really argue about this one, but you have a point because I said this morning. I go. It's like Bill Paxton. Game over, man. Rest in peace, Bill Paxton. Bill Paxton is not even alive these days. But when he was an actor, I saw him a lot growing up. Aliens 2. But how much do I got to shout that out? How far does it go? That's like game over, man. Bill Paxton. Aliens by James Cameron, put out by Fox Studio. Like, how far do I have to fucking go, dude? Released in 1984, maybe? I don't like.
Well,
how far do I gotta rip the year?
You don't necessarily have to read off like a docket, but it is kind of like just a thing. Like, oh yeah, that's from Aliens. Oh yeah, I love that movie, and then you just move on. It's still like a way to honor it, right?
But I think our podcast should know.
Yeah,
podcast people who watch it, that sometimes we do a little shout out to Dudesy
because they inspired us.
We both really like that show, and Will does impersonations. I do impersonations, and I love that Hogan thing. And I can't even really do a Hogan, and I'm gonna work on my own Hogan that's different, just to differentiate. But I love the and like it's a grounding exercise, really. And I think that's why he uses it sometimes. He's talked about how the characters transition, and my wife and I, so we don't fight. Like when we get into things, and I'll be like, "Dude, I'm doing the best I can, brother," and it's like, "Well, that's because that's what rain is, dude." And it's like because it's like so dismissive and cut and dry, but it's not necessarily tenacious. It works. So that's if I do the wall. I love Will Sasso. Yeah. I've been watching Will Sasso since Mad TV. His friend Chad Kulchin, his Dudesy, the first show run by an AI. I've been watching it a year, so it gets into my head a little bit. Sometimes I involuntarily doing it. I'm not trying to steal their bits. It's not like we're making money off this. If I was making money off it, see, that's a different world, brother. That's the problem. Like
the really funny thing here is this entire conversation interrupted my story.
I know, and you had to call it out. I have to defend myself because I was abused as a child. Dude, don't back me into a corner with this, dude. All right, here I'm coming. Joe Frazier. No, okay. No, thanks though. But Dudesy podcast shout out. Fucking back into Space Vikings insightful conversation.
We do love Dudesy, and it was another time, brother.
There you go. He feels confident about it now. He's like, CP said it twice.
I didn't say that. I didn't say that confidently. No, for me it was a very different time, and it's weird how the last couple weeks I've had, I have not been able to do that, and I like to do that because it makes my day feel better. It makes my weeks feel better to shut off everything and do a reset every day. But I've had a long string of weeks where I haven't had a chance to like do my meditation or like really do the thought experiments that help me sort of reset every day. And I'm honestly exhausted by it. I'm like, my soul is tired. My soul is so tired from that.
Careful, dude. It's a trap. You can get caught up in the hype of it.
Yeah.
Especially as other people, like the older you get, you're going to see people move at different levels. You're going to see people live and die. You're going to see people stay in poverty and stay immature. You're going to see people make money and get really smart. And it like, that's what you're saying earlier about assumption and time, much like Abso and her brothers, that I think they've had to learn, like, we're not all like a bunch of little kids now, like fighting over the Nintendo. And then when they end up fighting over something, it's like,
dude, you're getting into a pitfall there.
Yeah, and just woo.
Yeah,
and remember,
like we gotta get out of that hole.
Yeah, we gotta evolve and move into like the different versions of ourselves, and it's tough because of that dynamic. You will lose friends, relationships will change, and this is a funny example.
Well, here's what I want to ask you though. Like, so the subject that you're on now is somewhat directly related to who we are and like how someone might be able to. You were saying, in your opinion, it's almost like you were agreeing that we are our deeds. What?
Yeah, no,
What?
I just you said the in my opinion thing, and it just like triggered the whole
no,
conversation.
well, no,
It made me fucking
you
laugh
said,
my ass off.
oh no, you had said that in my opinion, and then you went
Mm-hmm.
on to sort of relate that to what you were talking about. It seemed like it was agreeing with "we are our deeds," but then with a different
Yeah,
spin on it. And I just want to, I
yeah,
want to ask, like, what you then went into. Sounds like um stuff about like what we've been through. But
yeah.
I would argue that what we've been through also is not who we are, but it is
No,
it's like a part of.
what doesn't exist. Like if you have a certain amount of trauma, you had like if there was abuse, disrespect, whatever that may be throughout life, if you got into situations that led you into drugs, or you got caught up in crime because of poverty or homelessness or whatever, that isn't going to be you forever. And people do want to cancel people for things, and like, oh, you made a mistake once. Like, dude, dig into anybody's life. I don't, like, maybe you didn't get caught, but tell me a human being in the middle of their life that hasn't made a mistake or two. That's bullshit. And
I was very humbled by my mistakes. Like I had
yeah, me too.
because I was such a goody two shoes. I didn't necessarily have the phrase I want to use is a holier than thou attitude, but I didn't act like that. But when it came
Mhm.
to like when I thought about myself and I thought about like what I'd been through, and I would think like how does anyone ever do anything bad? I don't understand it. And then eventually I was humbled and realized, oh, it's actually very easy for someone who's like a decent human being to do like at least a couple bad things in their life.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and it's good to humble yourself. To not, or if you don't ever humble yourself, you'll be taking duck face fucking psychopathic mugshots. But hey, there you go. I don't need to speak more on that. And and
Psychopathic duck face mugshots.
Stanley Kubrick style. Man's losing his mind. Anyway, yeah, it does help frame you. The death of your own ego. That's something I'd like to talk about. Maybe next week.
We actually have done an episode on ego death.
Oh, maybe I had too much of an ego to listen to it.
We can breach it again. I haven't edited that into the audio yet. But we can always touch on it again. I don't mind breaching subjects again. I think a cool part of this podcast could honestly be where we revisit subjects like a year later.
How about we form the template for the year, and then we just do it every year over and over again? Welcome to New Year's Rise in Mind, where we talk about the human condition. Could you imagine every year, and then you do a montage after 5 years, and it's like you could cut through like, hey man, I think it's all about money and shit like that, and then it's like 5 years later, it's like, oh yeah, money's cool, because I've made it or something, like,
geez, yeah.
I don't, like your perspective changes, because much like I was saying with your friends, like you do outgrow people, and it's important. Funny story, a age-old bachelor. This guy never got married. He goes, "How's your love life?" And I'm like, "Well, I started seeing this young lady, a couple months ago." And he goes, "You going in the same direction?" And I was like, yeah. I was like in my early 20s. I wasn't quite thinking about that, and I've always thought of that. Because Absol and I have been together getting close to, like we've been together 20 years at least. And that's a long relationship. And it has not always been the same, because we are not always the same. We're not the same we were when we were 23. I'm not the same I was when I was 33. I was watching YouTube videos of who is CP Sketch, and we have to watch these sometimes. I have a few videos on YouTube, and they're my early broadcasting. Look at how I am now. And I'm like, oh, see, hey, I'm about, and it was like all unconfident, or hey, I was like too happy, they were fake. Now I'm just like, hey, here I am talking on the internet. It's just a thing, because of the pandemic and Twitch. The pandemic, how much did the pandemic change us? How much is 2019 different than the ideology of today? Like significant things. And then you have to expect that is going to happen not only in the world you live in and the people you know, and accept that I don't like this person anymore, not in a hateful way. I just don't like hanging out because we're not the same persons we used to be. I don't want to entertain you. I don't want to perform for you anymore, or I don't want to just sit around and play video games all day. I like to do hiking.
Now we perform for each other or ourselves.
Yeah, we perform for you.
We select
audience members.
Well, like Twitch allows you to select your audience. Twitch allows you to curate your own experience. Like, it's no longer a producer saying, "Hey, dance monkey dance." Now it's, I'm gonna do what I want to do, and my audience is gonna find me. I'm not gonna find my audience.
Yeah, I have to figure it out, and what works for me and what makes me the happiest, and what we want to do together going forward. So collaboration, we're kind of married, dude. Hey, hubby. Hey, honey. We're kind of married, you and I. We have a marriage of Rise in Mind. Right, we're married through. This is our child.
And we have to take. Where are we going?
We're
with
married.
This?
Yeah, no, we have a child. You and I,
Rise in Mind.
CP have a child that's Rise in Mind. We birthed it, right? It exists.
Yeah, but it's still not who we are, though.
I know, but I'm just saying, as far as a label. Yeah, and we've birthed this, and the idea that we're going in the same direction. So you always want to, in relationships, you want to think about going in the same direction, becoming you're talking about a larger culture. We're artists, we're gamers, we have ADHD, we have things in common. So we become this amalgamation that could be highly represented at a con culture, where we've met other people who also are artists, who also have ADHD, who also have the same game, do the same interests, know the same movies. And we try not to get in some kind of nerd echo chamber, but and realize there are other realities. Like, I don't just have to do a con here that has comics. I can do an odd and unusual thing because I'm also kind of a freak. I can do a farmer's market because I put on a flannel and be down to earth, and I like agriculture.
I love doing farmers markets. I love it so much because then you see who people really are.
Yeah,
you see people who are like, "Oh, I'm going to the farmers market with my wife. Time to put on my flannel and play human." And then they see the space Viking tent, and they're like, "Oh!" And then they'll let their wife trail off, or their husband, and they'll be like. They'll be like, "Don't you guys sci-fi stuff?" And I'll be like, "Yeah." Feel free to look through the booklets, and their faces will just light up, and it's like, "Oh, you put on your costume today, but I get to get you out of your costume."
Yeah,
that's what it feels like.
We know who wanted to really go to the farmer's market. Hey, honey, do you want to go to the farmer's market today? Yeah, sure. Yeah, sure. Fuck, I want to keep playing Starfield, but
like,
let's do it. Maybe I can get back.
Yeah, I always ask her if she wants to watch Star Trek, and she never says yes to that. But she asks me to go to the farmer's market, and I always say yes to that.
Oh yeah, see, now you're starting a problem in the relationship. She's not going in the Enterprise anymore. She's not going in the same direction. Fucking farmer's market. What's that shit? You have, and then that's the other thing too. Like, in a relationship, if you don't have a direction. Which is tough for guys like us, we're ping ponging all over the place, and
we gotta get those kids that they're on that one direction.
Oh yeah.
Sorry.
I wish I could sing a song, but I'm too old to know a One Direction song. I don't know You know a One Direction song?
I don't know any of the songs either. I just know that's what they're called. And
I want it that that's I don't know. Boys to Men. I
was in sync and Backstreet Boys, and then eventually I stopped listening to those altogether and went towards Metallica and Lamb of God and Slipknot and System of Down. And
you know what I love about that story?
What?
I love that. I love that. I quickly defined that I'm older. I'm like, oh yeah, the equivalent in my time was New Kids on the Block. Boys to Men.
They were boy bands?
Yeah.
Like they sang like a cappella, and they harmonized. It wasn't like they
especially Boys to Men.
I thought Boys to Men was mostly hip hop.
it has a hip hop like flair to it, but they're like at the end of the road. They have those
true.
kind of like
that's very true. Yeah.
They have those softer songs, and it's like I think there's like four of them, and yeah, they did more upbeat shit too, but a lot of that would inspire all this. And then New Kids on the Block was Boston Kids, and I think Mark Wahlberg's brother Donnie Wahlberg was one of them.
Oh,
So you had, like, yeah, but it had like Brian McKnight and all, and they did the same thing. You know what they are, dude? They're the Beatles. There's two genres. There's Elvis and the Beatles. You're either a pop star like Lady Gaga, or you're a boy band like One Direction. That's been the format since that, because it's marketable. Then we get into the world of money, so then it impacts how people are musically creative.
Yeah.
And then if you don't want money and you want to be creative, then maybe you don't make money. Thankfully, what you were saying with the internet, you make your own product.
I do
and
think
much like this, if we're not going in the same direction, it's just going to fail.
Well, I just feel like just like to if you don't mind if I spin this for our subject that we're talking about today.
Go for it.
I feel like musicians also have that same trouble, like we were talking about with Jesse and Margaret, and becoming parents. I feel like musicians struggle with, they become popular, and then now that's their identity now. That's like, you are now your music. You're no longer you. Or they feel like that. And it's like, some of them I do want to like say, that's not who you are. That's just what you do. It's still, even though like entire nations see you as that doesn't mean it's who you are. It's because that's what you do, and that's what you become known for. It's like, so sometimes I've wanted to like the reality show The Osbournes.
Oh yeah.
Did you ever watch that? So like that painted a view of them
I own the first season.
I actually really enjoyed that reality show, and I usually hate reality shows, but I enjoyed that one because Ozzy Osbourne was a dad, and then he was a husband, and then like there were moments in that show where you got to see like, oh, he's just him. He's not his music. He's not just a dad. He's not just, a husband. He's not just an artist. He's not just a rocker. He's Ozzy Osbourne. And then you got to see like, oh, that's who you are. And that was like one of the few reality shows where I got to see like, oh, that's who he is.
And what's funny about that is I found out early reality television, especially, it wasn't like this. And this stuff gets scripted too, like where people are talking on Twitch and it feels more genuine and real. A lot of people are still hamming up characters, but what I think MTV put out the Osbournes, but they created catchphrases for Ozzy where he'd be like, oh, I don't know about this shit kind of thing, and oh, you're doing my head in. I don't know, there was a couple of them, I haven't watched it in so long, but it was always when he was walking away and stuff, they ADR'd that voice, that catchphrase all the time, and you're like, how much are they taking archive footage and they're making a show essentially? So they're choosing what to show you, they're editing it, they're creating a sequence of a bunch of different moments, maybe not even from the same day. So like then you have to ask, like, how much was that Ozzy Osbourne? You saw parts of his life, but they were edited in a certain way to make you feel and react, and some of those weren't actually real reactions. They were dubbed over. He was just walking away, and he didn't even have that expression, so he didn't have that emotion at the time. Because I know that because I think I saw Ozzy on Howard Stern talk about that when I used to watch that years ago, and it was like how it wasn't the reality of it. A lot of it was fake, and that was very much the case in early reality, because they have to make a show, and they instigate, and they poke too, and they poke at people, and they try to get them to fight and do different things. I
feel like the Osbournes may have been less scripted, but of course it was a little bit. I think all of them are at least a little bit scripted.
I mean, we'll never know. It's our own personal like now saying it's a little scripted. How does that hit you? Like,
how that hits me is like Rise in Mind is, well, here's the thing, Rise in Mind has a little bit of a slow start, right? And I feel like part of why we're having a slow start with the podcast is because we refuse to follow the formulas and the trends and all these things that make a show successful. We're not like using clickbait. We're not using sensationalized news. We are not using
yeah, I don't watch it. I don't give a fuck.
We're not using like buzzwords and we're not trying to be something in order to be successful. We're trying to create something genuine, and society does not respond quickly, violently, or dramatically to things that are real and genuine. And that's part of why a lot of reality TV feels fake, because it's trying to be. It's trying to get a reaction. Negativity is still a negative reaction is still a reaction, and negative attention is still attention.
Yeah, I never watched the Jersey Shore, and then one day, I don't know. I think I was watching like Snooki. There was her nickname. I can't remember her real name. She was on like a talk show, and she was talking about some of the early moments, and she mentioned this fight, or somebody mentioned the fight, and then I went on, I YouTubed it, and that was like the moment I think that it got really big. But it was just like it was hardcore. It was just like this small woman was talking shit to a guy. I mean, small. I mean, everybody probably knows Snooki, but then I think she got punched in the face by this big dude, and then like those dudes, of course, were like, "I'm gonna tear that guy apart," and it was so dramatic. And in my opinion, that's just normal nights out at bars. Sometimes people start shit, and women sometimes can get really aggressive with men because it's very wrong for men to hit women. But in this case, like, it happened, and it was sensational, and it was like, oh my god. And then they built a whole show off of it. And it probably was nothing like the original moment. They probably tried to keep it up that way all the time, and I'm sure the show instigated people and fed them booze. They probably fed them booze all the time, and they're like, hey, free booze. They probably had booze on set. They were probably just setting bottles of vodka everywhere on the back of the toilet and shit. I'm sure they fucking did that. Old Dirty Bastard, you guys know him from the Wu-Tang Clan? The industry killed him. And it's a sad fact. They killed him because he was addicted to crack cocaine. It was like they didn't care about it. He needed it to perform, and they kept him. They knew he was dangerous. They knew he was a danger to himself, but they're like, he's making us money, and we're just not going to say anything. We're going to pretend it isn't this reality, because money is here, and this man is killing himself, but we're profiting off this guy, and he's going to probably die anyway, right? And they just ran it out, and he died. But somebody could have intervened and been like, look, bud, we love you, man. Like, and we don't want you to do this. Like, but people perpetuated that, and it publicly, everybody knew that. He was vocal. Like my friend said he was at a show, and he's like, got any crack? Like, just like on the mic, like the people, like, and if you're famous, people like palm you drugs and stuff. And if you're saying stuff out to the audience and then people are giving it to you, and it's like, why wouldn't you want to, if you had crack cocaine, why wouldn't you give it to ODB to go meet him, if you're at his concert? Like, but it just creates such a problem. And then to know that people profited and they were selling records and these labels, which I'm thankfully, I mean, we're getting away from. And look what it did. Look what Virgin Records did. Look at Richard Branson fighting over who gets to go on the rocket ship with Elon Musk. It's just wild. It's so inappropriate. It's so inappropriate, and having big dick contests and stuff. It's like, is that how you guys want to define yourselves? Like, couldn't you define yourselves as innovators, as helpers, people of money, people of means? Like, no, I'm gonna fight over, I want to be in the rocket ship. Like, dude, what Shatner shit in his pants is what the only thing I wanted to see. Like Captain fucking I don't even know which captain he was. Captain Kirk. He this guy, imagine this guy in space for the first time as an old man. It's a funny scenario. But
I
I
love
like to
his.
think about these rich guys up there like having a time. Like fuck that.
William Shatner actually gave me a very upsetting, an upsetting response to being in space. Someone who played someone who was in space so much and then went to real space and was scared of it. He said it was terrifying.
Yeah.
And he said that he said that humans didn't really belong there. I think that's I gotta look this up because I might be paraphrasing.
Yeah.
Putting
Look
my own
that up.
shit on there.
Yeah, Shatner.
Well, we don't actually have time for me to really like look it up live here, but I will actually correct myself if I need to.
No, look it up. You have a second.
Well, take what you're talking about, and hold on. Let me just spin this a bit. I'm gonna flip it around. I feel like who we think people are and who they show up as and who they really are inside. I think reality TV really does show a really deep broken thing in humanity when it comes to like who do we want to be seen as and who are we really.
Yeah, having a avatar. In what I was going to respond to with Shatner, you see him on TV as Captain Kirk. And then people have said, "Oh, Shatner's an asshole." Oh, I can hear myself. Weird. So they said that hey, Shatner's an asshole to work with. They've said Chevy Chase is an asshole to work with. Now I don't know that because I haven't worked with those people, and they have all their right to be an asshole. They don't have to be nice. Anyone could be an asshole. And if they create a product and they do their job, then whatever. They're just an asshole doing their job and they're making someone else money. Well, Shatner didn't give that vibe. So like, it's hard for people to be like, is Shatner cool or is he really an asshole? Well, he's really a person and he's also an actor. So the person that people play on TV, much like how we present ourselves and our avatars, and when we want to impress someone or whatever, we might change how we are for that moment. The way I talk to you versus the way I talk to my mom versus the way I talk to my wife is all different. They're all kind of different sides of me. They're not fake, but they bring out different qualities in me. And so Shatner, you know, it's hard for people we're talking about cancel culture too. It's hard for people to be like, oh my God, my TV hero. I thought they were them. No, they're getting paid to perform. And Captain Kirk and William Shatner are two different people. And in your case, when you see Shatner in space, you're like, oh, well, that sucks. Oh. Well, it's just the reality of space versus a TV set. Maybe it sucks.
I did actually have time to look it up, and I actually had the wrong perception of this. I think I must have seen a headline and a sensationalized headline. He actually had he had a really good view here. Shatner said, I was crying. Shatner told NPR. I didn't know what I was crying about. I had to go off someplace and sit down and think, what's the matter with me? And I realized I was in grief. And then this article goes on to say that there's something called the overview effect. It's a cognitive and emotional shift in a person's awareness, their consciousness, and their identity when they see the Earth from space. They're at a distance and they're seeing the Earth in the context of the universe. So then Shatner went on to say, it was the death that I saw in space and the life force I saw coming from the planet. The blue, the beige, and the white, he said. And I realized one was death and the other was life. And then he says, I wept for the Earth because I realized it's dying.
Oh my God.
Yeah. People often cry when they first see the Earth from space.
No, just that last line, it actually feel a little bit of a tingle in my arms and shit. Like
it hit pretty hard.
That's Trent and Betty for real, dude.
Yeah.
That's like, and the fact that he saw, like, what did he see up there? What was pushing into the Earth to make it look like it was dying?
It gets even better, or it's kind of sadder, but it goes deeper. He said, I saw more clearly than I have with all the studying and reading that I've done. The writhing, slow death of Earth, and we on it.
Oh my God.
From
Now,
William Shatner.
now,
So it was a negative thing, but I misinterpreted like how he felt. I thought he was like being just pretentious about it, but turns out I should have read further. It's a tiny.
You just took the one line, man, out of context.
It's a little tiny.
Now, do you feel different?
Well, I do. Is your
perception back?
It is better. That's why we look stuff up. Like here's part of Rise in Mind. One of the most important things about Rise in Mind is that we learn with you, the listener or watcher. We are like, oh, it's like wait a minute. I don't actually like you. I stopped. I listened to myself and I go, wait, I don't have the full story. So I went and I found the full story. So here's the thing though. Shatner went on to say another thing. He added to. I don't like how this is written because it puts all of the things that Shatner said. Like it forces you to read more of the article to get more of what he said.
Hate that.
Yeah, but it's still profound. He says it's a little tiny rock with an onion skin air around it. That's how fragile. That's how fragile it all is. It's so fragile. We hang by a thread. We're just dangling.
Wow.
I think this was I think this was like at a podium. He must have been saying this stuff. It's like we're entangled. He's saying the same thing that a lot of the moon astronauts said. The Apollo astronauts. He's saying a lot of the same things that they said. He says we're entangled with each other. He said decreeing conflicts between human beings. We have a war. The stupidity of it all is so obvious. This was during the Iraq War when he went up, I believe. No, it was during the. We were still in Afghanistan when he went up on Blue Origin. I believe so.
Shatner?
Shatner went into space. This is him talking about going to space.
But I thought he went up recently when everybody started going up into space and they started bringing the celebrities up.
Yeah, but it wasn't. This wasn't with Bezos. This was with Bezos, not Musk. Oh. This was Blue Origin that he went on. The one that looks like a dick.
Yeah, but see, where's the timeline? The Iraq War was.
I was wrong about Iraq. I said we were still in Afghanistan at the time. So he's talking about the war. When he says the war, that's what he means.
And I wanted to put out another point. So there's perception, right? And the way you frame stuff. Shatner could have been being a bit sensationalistic.
I want that quote in my comic book, though. See, I saw more clearly than I have with all the studying and reading that I've done, the writhing slow death of Earth, and we on it.
So he said that, right? But keep in mind, personal bias, personal experience will alter the way he perceived the moon. William Shatner, I just looked it up. He is 92 years old.
Oh yeah. He's up there. Yeah.
So that is his reality. He sees death on the horizon because he is going to die. Maybe he will die within the next. That would be so scary if Shatner died. Tomorrow or something. But we try to make it to 100, but Bob Barker and Betty White, 99, like you were saying, loading. Oh, failure. It's like why can we not get to 100%? Some people can. Yeah. But like there's sorry, Shatner, but you got a year to 7 probably years.
This is quite a tangent, but I still love that we I hope he doesn't die. But why'd you jinx it like that, man? Why'd you do that?
I did it, and I don't think that's a PC term.
Why'd you do it?
I don't know. Is jinx? No, it's jip. I don't want. That's the one you don't want to say.
Yeah, it's jinx for being over haggled. It's a term. It's a very mean term for being over haggled.
It's negative to Eastern Europeans and different cultures and shit. Which was the super news to me. There's every once in a while certain things are offensive, but then you find yourself saying something and you're like, whoops. Like secretary, I hung on to her for a while because it wasn't like officer. like it didn't have an or on it, like actor, actress. Like I think they dumped the actress. No, actually they still use it, right? So eventually they're going to change that over, and it's going to confuse the shit out of me. But secretary seemed like a balanced term for men and women. So Secretary of State. So it seemed weird. It wasn't like a separation, but yeah,
Right.
it so I didn't get like that. And then it was really funny. We were at a town council meeting just the other day, and the piece of shit old friggin' man in charge. He's horrible, dude. He's horrible. I'm not gonna say his name, the horrible son of a bitch. But he's like, oh yeah, this is the town manager, and you are his new I don't know, is it a secretary? I don't know if that's right to say. And it's like, and then she said her position, and it's like he intentionally like fucks with people like in that way, where it's like, you should know better, dude. You're a paid town councilman. I don't care if you're some old redneck. Like, you should know better, especially in offices. And I'm just defending myself. Like, I shouldn't know better. I don't work in an office. But yeah, it's ridiculous how we can that's a tangent, dude. That's a tangent. Most of my stuff has been on. This is the first tangent. He's been saying tangent, but my shit, I know where I'm headed with it in my weird logic. But talking about that's a tangent. Okay, structure it.
I'm just gonna let you keep going.
No, I'm off. I'm off on that one, dude.
That's
I'm
okay.
like talking about you said you said Jinx. Shout out Jinx Monsoon, one of the best drag queens ever. Got a new special, I think.
Oh my god,
Do
I
you know
just
Jinx
spit all over my
Monsoon,
mic
dude?
on accident. Oh my goodness, some professionals here.
You like that?
I like that you took it there. Well, let's learn
Jinx
together.
Monsoon, dude. Jinx Monsoon, man. Jinx Monsoon's a great drag queen.
Jinx is a fantastic character. In the early 20th century, originally the US, probably a variant of Jinx or Weinreck, because the bird was used in witchcraft. Oh, it's a type of bird. A person or thing that brings bad luck is what the actual meaning of the word is. Origin is something about witchcraft.
So was the bird, would they use the bird for what? For sacrifice, did you say? Or was the bird a pain in the ass?
It's just used. It was used in witchcraft. I'm gonna make sure that's correct. 1 second. I need to get more of a description. It used to mean a spell.
I don't want to jinx myself. I don't want to put a spell on myself. I don't want to bring. I don't want to bring a black cloud on fortune to rain down upon me. So I'm just wondering if the jinx bird's a pain in the ass.
Mary Popick of the American Dialect Society suggests that the word should be traced back to. Sorry, probably meant could be traced back to an American folk song called Captain Jinx of the Horse Marines, written by William Lynyard in 1868. Wow. Character Jinx Hodo, described as a curse to everybody, including himself, appeared in the musical comedy Little Puck.
Okay, so he's like a Shakespearean character.
So maybe not a bird. I don't know where that came from on the Google listing, but
you'd have to dig right into that. I just wanted to know, like, if that Jinx was a pain in the ass bird, because there could be farmers like way back in the day, and they would come in and they'd rip their crops up, and they'd be like, "Oh, it's fucking Jinx is a bad thing. I don't want to jinx myself. I don't want to, ruin my day because they've flown in and wrecked my yard." Maybe.
Okay. So the reason that there's a bird called a wryneck,
sounds like a fucking Dungeons and Dragons character.
A small but distinctive group of old world woodpeckers. Jinx is from the ancient Greek. These birds get their English name from their ability to turn their heads almost 180. So the birds were cursed. Ooh. Like it was cursed. So cursed, it's a curse or a spell. That's the actual meaning.
I get it. They're scary. So like if you saw one like out in the forest, it would turn its head. So it'd turn its head completely around, like the Exorcist. That would be weird if you were alone out in the woods.
I figured if we were gonna tangent this hard, we better get down to the actual root of it. But who are you?
Who are you?
Who are you? Who's this guy?
I asked you second. I asked
you first. No. So we've successfully gone through a lot of the like what society perceives us as is not who we are. What the media portrays us as isn't who we are. What we do isn't who we are. Our name isn't even who we are.
Yeah, I've got multiples now. You know, we all have multiple aliases. Like you're Matt, you're the Space Viking. I'm CP. You know, I'm CP Sketch. There was a guy. You know, I said Sweet Cheeks earlier.
Yeah.
There was a guy who used to call me Sweet Cream. You know, that's a long story.
Like if you can turn your head 180 degrees, that isn't who you are. It doesn't make you a jinx. That's a good stretch though. You should
buddy.
if you put your arms up before you, if you put your arms up and then do that, you can get your inner muscles in the back of your neck.
It's
good.
This feels good in the back. I'm just gonna stay like this for the rest of the time.
That's why I do that a lot.
See, now I'm a different person. Who am I? I'm a different CP.
Now you're doing.
I'm presenting different.
Doing the pizza.
Yeah, now I'm rap version. Coming on stop with a pizza pepperoni. That was awful. That was like how my wife raps.
I like that.
She probably heard that stuff.
Enjoy that. Okay.
Yeah, so we're not all those things. So what are we? You know, what are we?
So we've sort of gone through the question of like, I feel like we are our deeds. I feel like what we do and how we show up in the world, and not our job, not what we're paid to do, but how we behave in life, how we present ourselves, and like bring sort of how do we affect the world around us in a certain way? Do we do it in a way that's positive or negative? Like if you like, are you a good or bad person? That's like really subjective. It's not really about are you good or bad. It's all about like, who are you?
That's interesting. I was just watching a podcast. It was so it's Rick Glassman's podcast, Take Your Shoes Off, and comedian. He's a comedian, but then Tom Segura was on there, and they're talking about basketball, and he said like, well, how tall are you, Tom? And he's like 5'11", 6 feet. He goes, a guy who's 6 feet never says he's 5'11". That was what Rick said to him. And he goes, no, I say it. I gauge the other person because I know it's all ego and insecurity. So if someone's like, oh, you're pretty tall. I thought you're taller, and they're 6'4". They'll be like, yeah, I guess so. I'm like 6 foot, and they'll be like, nah, you're like 6'2", and it's like, oh, so they up it because they don't want to be insecure about their own height. And if someone's like 5'7", he'll be like 5'11", 6 feet. So now he dips down into 5'11". So it gets him, it's a way to relate because he realizes that people, especially men, are very insecure about things like height, whether they're too tall or too small. So he puts himself in the 5 and the 6. And I think that's brilliant. I might start doing that. 5'11", 6 feet. And could be, depends on how my posture is for the day. But I say 6 feet. I've rounded up before too. When I had a little more weight on me for a while, it sucked you down. But that's interesting. It is how you present, and he's working with how those other people present.
He's sort of feeding off of it, or like making it.
Which makes sense because he's defined as a comedian, so he has to figure out how to work with people. Because he also was talking about shows, and he had a special, and that one he did, they recorded 4, and the one he goes, oh, I nailed it. Just everything about it was the best show. That's probably the one. Like, well, let's do another one. And it wasn't as much. And then they're like, well, let's change the lighting. It was more of like studio stuff. And they're like, oh, we like these look better. He goes, yeah, but the energy of the first one, right? And there was like a bit of an argument. So that's perception too. Like, is it the look? Is it the energy? Like, what really matters, and what really matters to different people? So it drops into what you value, your deeds. And if you want to be a person, you should live that reality, not caught up.
I do feel like the values are your values are also a very big part of like who you are, because it comes into like, do you value, like, everyone, no one is going to say I value money over people, but you've probably seen you've probably seen.
Are you sure to say that?
I don't think anyone would literally say that like directly, but I know that
there are people that say that, dude.
Well, no, they don't say it like that though. They don't say it like I value money over people. They would never like take that PR hit, but they've probably said it a different way.
Hey, you remember a time? Back in 1939?
Oh, that was before there was such thing as PR.
Hashtag World War II. There was a whole country that was convinced that economically they're struggling because these other people were stealing their money, and then they went and they killed 8 million of those people because they were upset that they didn't have money anymore.
But they didn't say that they valued money over people. They
murdered millions of people because they wanted their economy to be strong again.
Yeah.
Money runs economies. And if you kill all these people, you'll have money again.
The point I'm making is that I agree. People there are people that do value money over people, but I'm saying that they would never say it. That's not. I'm not saying that they don't. I'm just saying that they would never say it.
I think a guy got up on a podium and screamed it all the time.
Well, they screamed that they would say these people are the problem. He would say things like, we need to change the way that this is working so that it can have this outcome. But did he ever directly say, I want to kill these people because they're hurting our economy? That I value them more.
I can't speak German, but he said there's one type of people that should live on the earth, and all the other people shouldn't. And if we did that, we'd be in charge, and we would be back on top again.
Well, then he was saying, I value my people over those.
I'm not paraphrasing, but that's the course of action.
Well, that was a perception thing. You're jumping around it a lot, and like, it's not like he's Voldemort. Yeah, Hitler was a fucking awful person, and he did say some awful things. And I'm not saying that it's okay. I'm literally just saying that there are people out there that live that value. I value money over people, and that value shows what type of person that is. That's who they are. That's who.
Your argument is saying that no one says it that clearly in today's society, anyway.
Well, they can't.
Like, flash forward to right now.
Well, in today's society, yeah, I think back then it was probably pretty commonplace to say the quiet part out loud and not get in trouble for it.
I mean, I think our president a couple years ago made it pretty clear. I think he really showed that he valued money over people and certain types of people.
He was really good at saying a lot without saying anything at all. He would have like entire paragraphs of words where he didn't actually say anything. No concept, no subject, no outcome, no desires. Like, it was just nonsense.
That's the day you define yourself as a politician.
People loved it too.
Say everything and answer everybody's questions without saying anything at all. That's a hallmark of defining yourself as a politician. But the thing is, you can go back to that Shatner comparison that I made. The guy was an actor. He was a rich businessman, but he was an actor who worked within wrestling and worked within the Apprentice show and all that stuff. So he learned for years to be an actor. So like the perception of what that character was, how he got famous with firing people and being aggressive, he realized there was a giant response in a certain demographic really liked the protest, and that's just how they feel, and that's fine. That's why I never knock people for liking different people, because you might like it for all certain different types of reasons. And the thing was, like, who he is and who he presented, like a politician, like an actor, like when you meet a certain friend or an old friend, it's wildly different a lot. And I wish people could understand. I don't care what your political or religious affiliation is. I just wish people could understand, as an artist, I make bullshit. I make realities that don't exist. I don't draw the Dreamer's Arcade on a, and make it. It's just paint on a canvas. I create it with my imagination, but it doesn't exist. And television and movies, they aren't the reality of people. Johnny Depp isn't like what Tim Burton shows him as. Johnny Depp doesn't even go back and rewatch his movies. He which blows my mind. So he never even sees that perception. He's in the moment then, and then one day he's on trial. And it's like, now Johnny Depp's different. And that perception changes. He's still celebrity. He still has those fans, but now he's becoming a person. And people, I think, just love that grade reality, like you were saying with the Osbournes. So, man, it's all how you take in things, and it's all how you perceive things. Our brains are all different. But please, people, understand the world that you see on a screen isn't fact. The information that you read isn't always fact. The pictures that you see, especially AI, is generating all kinds of stuff just to stir people up. And people have been doing it for a while, so it makes sense to emulate us. But it's not. Some people are just playing a character. Most people on TV are playing a character. I'm playing a bit of a character, but I'm being very serious when I say, like, this is the serious side of CP. Don't just look at things and be like, that's just the world. Or don't have your friends say like, oh, Shatner talked a lot of shit when he went to space, and then all of a sudden that's fact. That's all you're recalling. Like, look it up and make sure, and then make sure you're looking at multiple sources, and don't be surprised when your celebrity does something bad. It's hard for people with Lizzo, it's hard for people to deal with that, because she was what she represented. It's harder for people because not only was she a really good musician, she was all about body positivity, and the fact that she's being charged with something that was body shaming is a conflict. And then they're like, oh man, that's hypocrisy. And that's really hard for people. So, what people are and what they present might be two separate things, and what they're promoted as in money.
Yeah, that's what. Well, like, when it comes to the valuing people over money thing, it's just about like the values define who you are, and then when you don't have, when you have a, like you said. Sorry, one second.
Happened? Your audio.
My audio, what? No, I'm just trying to.
You're fine.
I'm trying to understand where you were going with that when it came to our subject matter. Like, we're trying to get to the end of the deep dive here and find the gems. And I'm like, if people want to escape into their worlds and believe what they want to believe, I don't want to say don't do that. Like, if that's what's saving them. But like,
escapism is fine, right? We all do it.
Yeah.
You don't like that I smoke cigarettes, but it's my escapism. It's my grounding exercise, and I know it's unhealthy for me, but I've done it for so long. But you have a conflict of interest, and in a way that's good for me, because it's supportive, and being like, I have that in the back of my mind. If I do actually have the energy someday to move away from it, it's like, yeah, well, it would be good. And Matt's been saying for a long time, it's a support system, but it's ultimately my choice and whether I value it. And you value my health with not smoking, but I don't. So until I can value that, I can't have that change.
True.
So it's a good example. But whether it's a video game, whether it's a few beers, people go to work and they come home and they don't want to be at work anymore, or they don't want to deal with the stress of being a mom and dad, and the kids are asleep now and they're drinking a pumpkin head or something, and maybe smoking a joint outside or something. And that's fine. Like, oh, you can't be like, oh, you're a shitty father. What if your kid woke up or something? It's like, you need a little bit of me time too. Like, like, don't be driving around with your kid in a car seat, fucking blazing a joint. Like, that's wildly irresponsible. But like, if you went over and spent the weekend with a friend for bonding or whatever, and it was a fun thing, or you go out fishing and wife has the kids, it's like, okay, that's fair enough. I'm not putting anyone or myself at risk. I need to escape a little bit. So that's fine. But when you completely live in the dream and you don't have reality anymore, you're negating your values, because you can't, without deeds, the deeds or the values, without action, they're bullshit. If I'm like, I value art and I don't ever make art or support art or go to an art show or buy my friends art or encourage them to write a graphic novel or like their Instagram or, just all this shit, or search for people online, then I don't really value it. If I don't read about it, if I don't watch an Art 22, like, I don't really give a shit if I don't know the history. I mean, you don't have to know it all, but you should value some parts of it. I value history and art, so I know art history. And then I try to teach that to people. But some people, you got to know when the wall's up. Some people don't give a fuck about art. And some people don't want to hear me tangent for a while. If they do, they come on this, and that's fine. But my instructor, my mentor, he said, well, I always ask, do you want the 1 minute version, the 5 minute version, or the hour? Like, because I would want the whole hour. The guy could talk about his art for an hour and I could listen to it. But most people just want like the 1 minute. Oh, it's about like, masculinity, and I was an alcoholic for a while, and this how men talk to each other, and how alcohol makes you feel younger, and how it makes the old feel younger and the younger feel older, and connects different generations, and it's the way that men bond through it. But inherently I had a problem with it, so like that's the 1 minute version that explains it. But then it's like you can get into the aesthetic of the painting and why you chose certain things. Then the hours, like, we're starting at the beginning, dude, of time, and much like Rise in Mind. But so you have to do your shit. You got to do your shit, or your bullshit. Do your shit or your bullshit. That's just
you're saying CP. That in order to sort of show up in the world as you actually are, you need to live your values,
and you need to work hard at it. Like the cat said, it's constant work. Like I got fucked up because I put so much time into my work, and it's such an amazing thing for me. But I'm on that dopamine high. And then I'm like, why don't people just acknowledge it? Why aren't people at my door right now? Like, hey, I heard a really talented artist lived here. I don't know. I've heard it all over town. They keep saying, like, drive up this road and go knock on this man's door, and you're gonna go into a wonderland of art and be transformed.
That's
ego, man. That's a fucked up reality to expect that. You got to get out there and market yourself.
That's actually that's what Stacy does, and she actually does have people. She doesn't so much anymore because she changed where her shop is.
Stacy's his lady partner friend, for those who don't know matter.
Lady friend.
Wait, oh my god, I go for those who don't matter. For those who that was for those who think it matters. Or wait, what was I gonna say?
I like that. I like think it matters.
Yeah, for those of you who want to know, I am tired. For those of you who don't matter,
you are not. You are not your girlfriend.
You don't matter.
You're not your girlfriend. So that's another thing. You are not your partner either.
But your partner has an impact on the decisions you make and how you would maybe either present your values. Find someone who values the same shit is what I'm saying.
Yeah, that's why I like to refer to her as just Stacy sometimes, because it makes me feel a little bit better about, like, oh yeah, she is just her. She is herself. And I don't need to have that association in order to feel like I'm more me. But what I'm getting at here is that she does exactly what you're talking about. She gets out there in community and she shows up as an artist, but she's having this little crisis of identity where she doesn't want to do it anymore. She doesn't want people showing up at her house saying, "Oh, look at all this beautiful art. I heard there was an artist here and I wanted to come see it." And she actually had her barn set up so that people could just stop by. She doesn't even want it anymore. She's sick of it because she doesn't identify as that. She started to realize that that's not who I am. That's just what I do. But for so many years, I identified it as who I am, but it's not really me. So I'm tired of living this lie.
What's the conflict? I mean, is it still valuing art? What's the
The conflict is that she still wants to do art, but she wants to do it for herself. She no longer wants people knocking on her door to look at her art. She wants to live in it.
And was she presenting maybe an art too that was like more accessible and different than what she does now, that she feels that she doesn't want that audience?
She still loves the art she was doing for that audience. But she no longer wants to dance monkey dance, you know?
And being your home, I can see that would be a problem too. Like if people are swinging by when you're like R&R time, like you guys are hanging out, and you, like I said, maybe like you're just chilling out and relaxing, getting a little escapism in.
Well, she would actually have
somebody pops by
an alarm when someone would step on the stairs to go up to the barn. She had this thing set up so it would ring in her home, so she could be doing stuff in her home, and she'd know someone was at the shop, so that she could, walk over to the barn and greet them. But that would often interrupt the R&R. It would be like we're just hanging out doing whatever, and then it's like ring ring. It's like, God damn it. At least for me it was God damn it. For her it was potential customer at the time.
So having an off-site location is beneficial. Much better, which is interesting because my folks, they live here in this town, but the town my mother grew up in, which is like just 10 minutes away, they have a shop. So when they leave the shop, they're away from the shop. But I always thought that was detrimental. It's like, wouldn't you want to live right beside your shop? Because then you could have customers constantly and after hours. But then now you're saying like, what a ball ache that is when you're trying to fucking watch some shows or something and cook in the middle of dinner. I mean, can you imagine that? You just made the food. Maybe if you worked like a whole hour on this super meal and you guys just sit down and you cook together and you're sitting down in front of the food, and then all of a sudden, bing bong, fuck, someone's in the barn. Then it gets cold.
Are you ready for the breath of fresh air?
Alrighty, we're done. What a segue.
No, you're right. Well, no, you had a great point. I'm ending it on that point.
No, I don't know. I'm just tired, dude, and I'm just bitten and ball busting. So yeah, back to the task at hand. Perfection is perfection. Gonna let Viking understand. That's Snoop Dogg. See, I'm doing it now.
I'm just I'm realizing that I'm also really tired, and I'm getting very
I feel like Michael Scott.
I'm getting very reactionary without like actual truth behind it, and I hate that feeling.
No, okay. Let's breath of fresh air then.
The whole Hitler thing threw me off because I was trying to make a very important point, and I lost it. It's gone because I started to realize that you're very right about Hitler, but like that's an extreme. Like we're trying to talk about regular folks, regular day-to-day people.
Jesus Christ, you sound like my dad now.
Well, you don't want to we can jump to the most common extreme.
He calls a place a regular place. I don't want to say why he calls it a regular place.
Yeah,
because for a lot of reasons.
Because it has burgers and fries and a checker pattern in a basket.
He's comfortable with it, and like there's not a lot of expectations. And especially one thing I'll say is we have really as a generation elevated food, and the stuff that we eat and the spicy stuff and like the duck poutine and like weird shit, it has a lot of flavor. And man, some of these older people go in there and they're like, can I just get a fucking sandwich? Can I get a ribeye? Can I get a ribeye? My dad,
what's funny about that is you can get a sandwich and it's going to be more nourishing and flavorful than the crap you've been eating for 60 years because we know food now.
We value it more, huh?
Yeah, maybe. Exactly.
But we call it. I think it's semantics too. We call it like weird names.
Yeah, I sound like your dad because I feel like Hitler is just an extreme. And we can use him as an example till the end of time.
Hitler podcast
right?
Over here.
But he was a troubled man who had a very distorted view, and I don't want to lump everyone in with him. I don't feel like everyone has that same idea of. There's people who value money over people who are just regular Joes who have been taught over time that I should be seeking money instead of relationships, or seeking money instead of expanding my mind. And all that matters is seeking money, and that builds their value system, that builds who they are. And over time, they start to lose their human side. They start to lose their connection to everyone else because they're only valuing money. And that was what I wanted to get to before I was distracted by how awful Hitler was.
Well, I only bring up him as primarily a dictator and a manipulator, because that's problematic even to this day. When you can inspire the minds of people who are struggling. And he used his ideology and constantly said it over and over to convince these poor people that there was someone else to blame, right?
Oh yeah, we see that still, yeah.
It's called groupthink. It's a psychological term. You look that up sometime, people. Groupthink is a thing, and he used that. And then those people, their values change based on the values that are being instilled in them. But the reality of it was they were at war before that. They got a slap on the hand that was unfair. Now, see, I'm not taking their side, but I think it was the Treaty of Versailles, because they were these aggressors. It narrowed their ownership, and they had to pay back money. So when you lose all your resources and then you have a big debt in a poor situation, you're fucked. Yeah. So knowing that, and knowing that you fucked up and you have to pay money back, but you can't because you now have no industry or any way to get stuff. He's like, well, what do we do? Well, let's blame these people.
Yeah.
And we can fix it. And it's like, it's bullshit. And and they've done it, and we've done it. And it's a thing where it's very easy to be the bad guy or be the person in control and say, hey, I know you guys are pissed at me, but really, I got to tell you the truth. It's not me. I'm here for you. I'm here for you guys. I want to help you. And see, the problem is, here's this, and then here's the examples. I know it's hard to believe, but let me talk about it for a while and see if I'm right or not. And that's the shitty thing. That's what he did, and that's what people are still doing to this day.
That's what they're still doing. But it's all out of fear. But
if you knew your values, but if you knew your values, which isn't money, if we didn't have this money world, people could say, like, I could go up to you and go, what do you value? And people could say, well, I like just being outside, or I like spending time with my kids. I like painting and stuff. Maybe people weren't like, oh, hey, nice to meet you. I'm Accountant Steve. It's like, it could be different. The values get co-opted by the need to survive. And if you can't survive because you can't pay bills and you're going to end up on the streets, then you can't do your values. They hold your values hostage by creating a doorway of money. And then that doorway you have to pump quarters into so it opens, but then it closes all the time. And it's like, shit, I can't get back to my value world. Got to put more quarters into it, pops it back open. And it's all day long. But you don't need to go through the fucking door. Just stay where your values are on the other side.
I love this for a breath of fresh air, though. I love this. Yeah, so one thing we haven't actually said is you are not your income.
Thank God.
That's a huge one. Like for in American society, like you are not defined by how much money you make. It doesn't make you a better person or a lesser person. Like, say you could make $100,000 and be the biggest piece of shit in the world, and you could make $5 and be a saint. It's nothing to do with your income, like who you are. And that's one of my least favorite conversation topics at Thanksgiving. Like, what are you doing now? Like, it doesn't matter. How about, hey, grandma, how are you? How are you doing? It's like, but then her first question is, what are you doing? And I'm like, that doesn't matter. Like, I don't care.
I would say And that's an interesting perspective, because now we're getting into something that is questioning, well, it's highlighting my values, because you said like, oh, Thanksgiving dinner and those awkward talks and this and that. And then I'm thinking like, yeah, I don't have those dinners really anymore. And like, it got so small for a while. It was just like 3 of us at Thanksgiving. And I missed that because I valued my family. And now I don't have that family to value. So when you say like, oh, I got to fight Uncle Ted over there because he's talking some bullshit at the table, and politically when he shouldn't be, it sucks and it's annoying. But when you don't have it anymore, it's like you realize sometimes how much you did value just an amalgamation of people that shouldn't be together just because you're all related.
Yeah.
And I guess you could go on Facebook, but
you are not your family.
Yeah. And the thing is, like, if you think you're your family, at a certain point in life, you might not have all that family. You might have lost significant members of my family, and I'm grateful for the ones that I have. But, for the longest time, I thought I was this, and I hate that. I have an uncle, I'll be nice about him because he has Asperger's, so he doesn't quite understand things for what they are sometimes, and he labels things probably inappropriately. And I've gotten older, and if you haven't known, but I've known him since I was basically born, but he still perceives me as his brother's kid. He'd be like, this is my brother's kid, or like, and it's like, God damn it. I'm a different, I'm my own person, man. I'm like an adult. I'm CP. And yeah, that guy's my dad and I'm his son, but like, I'm not a kid. And like, to use certain words, or if somebody calls me, like my dad would call me boy for too long. He's like, what's going on, boy? I mean, I thought it was because it felt, ingrained in servitude and racism. And I was like, oh no, please. And I don't think I ever said, stop calling me that, but yeah, now I call him boss a lot.
There's a person who calls me kid all the time, and it like, yeah, they're in their 60s and I'm in my 30s, and it's like, yeah, to them I might be a kid, but it's disrespectful because I'm over 28. I feel like that's my personal opinion, that if you're over 28, you're not a kid. Like, I can usually excuse certain things up to 28, but if you're over 28, it's like, get your shit together.
Now we're getting into perception too. Like I was saying earlier about like when Segura was saying like 5'11", 6 feet, because he's understanding that dynamic. I have this counselor that I go to talk to, and I referred to myself as a middle-aged man. So I am 44 years old, full disclosure. I know I look good and young, but it's getting gray, man. I've stayed out of the sun a lot, as a nerd. And I would say that's middle age, because the way that I perceive middle age is the middle of your life. Now, you go 44 plus 44 is 88. That's way more than most people's lives. So a best case scenario, I mean, I want to get to 86, 7, because Halley's Comet's coming back. I'm going to sail up in a hot air balloon like Mark Twain and fly right into it. Hopefully you're still alive, dude. You want to come? Yeah. Sure. So that would, he's like, oh, Jesus Christ, I don't want to die 10 years. I don't want to die in my 70s.
Let's just say I actually would prefer to die in my 70s than in my 90s.
Yeah, fair enough, dude. But like thinking about that, it's like how you perceive yourself. And I go, I'm middle aged, and she goes, oh, I wouldn't. Nice person. It's like, oh, I wouldn't. You're young. You're too young for that. I wouldn't say that right now. And it's like, why is she saying that? Because that's 100% logical. And when people, what do you think over the hill means? Like, that's when you turn 40, you go, you're over the hill, because it generally means you're going down the other side now. Like, you've got to the middle of it, you got to the top, and now you go over the hill down to the other side, because once you get back down to the bottom, that's the end, because you probably are going to live at best case scenario to 80. I mean, sure, people live longer, but it's just funny. You know why she says that?
Why?
It's like Segura said. She's probably like 53. She's like a true Gen Xer.
Yeah, so who's she? Who are you talking about again?
This is my counselor. She's like
counselor.
50.
Oh, I see.
So like when I said, like, you know, I'm a middle-aged man, I've said it a couple times, and she's been very quick. Like I've seen her for a long time, so I think I might have seen her like before I was 40 even, and I was like, all right, fair enough. But now I'm like, hey, I'm 44 years old. I'm going to say I'm a middle-aged man, because I'm well into my 40s now. She still denies it, because why? She's 52. She's putting her own experience, and she should know better. But you know, she's putting her own experience. Like, I don't want to feel old. Like, this guy's saying he's middle-aged and he's like 10 years younger than me.
Yeah.
It's questioning the age and defining her reality in a way that she's not willing to deal with.
If you only live to 72, I'm already middle-aged.
Yeah.
Yep. And 72 and 72 is good. That's a pretty long life.
I don't know.
It
My
is.
dad just turned 71. So it's fair enough.
Think about the amount of stuff that my dad got to do in his life. And he died at 62. He got to do a lot of shit and do a lot of things. He had a family. He had 2 sons. He crafted some friendships. I kind of get a little sad thing about this, because he could have done a lot more if he had the desire, but that just wasn't who he was. He didn't desire a lot. He very simple desires.
Yeah, that's the same case of Absol's dad died at the similar age, and he was in the service as well and stuff. But when I think back, I go, oh man, he was like a nurse in Vietnam. He had 2 families, because he was married and divorced. This guy had 2 families with like 3 kids in each of the he had 6 kids. And then I think he was like almost played football professionally. He was a nurse. Like,
he wanted all of that.
Yeah, he was just driven all the time. He was an energetic guy, but you know, he didn't value his health. You know, he didn't eat right. I mean, you know, he jogged. He did at one point. He jogged 10 miles a day, but then one day, health conditions changed and stresses changed his body, and then he was like, probably like, I don't know. I think it's not gonna last. Like, and he kind of went the other way, and he could have took better care of himself. He chain smoked and he ate candy and shit all the time and stuff he wasn't supposed to do.
Yeah.
And then you're like, oh, that's kind of selfish, because he did end up dying soon. And then what you were just saying.
Did any of that define? Sorry, go ahead.
What like you were saying, he did so much, but he could have done so more, because he missed the birth of his grandkids. He missed my wedding. He missed like one of his sons. He missed significant events that I went to after. And I'm like, oh man.
So this is a whole different subject, but
this is a big fucking deal.
Well, here's the beauty of death, though. This is the beautiful thing about death, is that all neural activity is done when you die. So he didn't know what he missed. There's no physical way for him to know what he's missed.
Yeah.
And if there is an afterlife, and if he is a ghost of some kind, if he can watch what's happening, then he didn't miss it. And if there is no afterlife, then he didn't miss it through your eyes, because you're his legacy.
Yeah, that's true. Well, he didn't even get to be part of my legacy. I refer to him as my father-in-law sometimes, but he never even got to be that. Yeah, he is in my mind, because I'm married to his daughter.
That's relation-wise. I meant like metaphysically, you're remembering him through name and existence, and he's now within your experiences because you're remembering him in that way. So in a way, he is actually there, and he hasn't missed it.
That's true. And then my perception of him and other people that have died have changed over time too. And so because I've changed and had different realizations about myself, and I've been able to put together pieces of his life that I've never seen before. So it's really interesting on that regard.
Mm-hmm. And I think that's a part of another thing that we could say definitively, that who a person is that we are a sum of our experiences and people who have entered our lives.
Yeah, like we were saying just earlier,
Our
like if
trauma,
you made a mistake once, if you made a mistake once versus you make mistakes every day, and that it's like, okay, now I know the difference between a mistake and a fucking habitual habit of, being a horrible person.
mm-hmm.
But people are very quick to define these days because we live in a scary world where, gunshots ring out and they don't realize it's just part mental illness, part poverty, part bullying. Like all these things come together, and but there's no way to regulate that. So they're quick to analyze and be like, well, this is the cause or that's the cause. And it's like, it's case by case. You're never going to get to the bottom of it. The cause is physicality, putting things in people's hands. It's like, that's a big cause. And if you want to deter things, take things out of people's hands. Just saying, not saying anything politically. Just saying, people are to what they have access to.
Mm-hmm.
The objects that they control, the objects of creation and destruction.
We have, I think we've successfully defined this, at least in terms of our perspective. Everyone's going to have their own perspective, and I think as a sort of a breath of fresh air, you get to choose who you are through. Like if those of you listening or watching have a similar perception as us to your deeds and your experiences and how you show up in the world being who you are, the beautiful thing about that is you get to choose that. The other stuff you can't choose, which is why it's really sad. At least to me, it's sad when people define themselves by those things, because some of those things you can't choose. And I feel like it would just depress me if I was defining myself by my job or defining myself by my name or my body. And
like
I can't choose those things. So if as like a closing breath of fresh air statement, like you can choose. You can
Jennifer
choose.
Love Hewitt's body was
choose who
defined
you
as a
are.
wonderland.
You get to choose who you are. Your body is a wonderland. I
think they said that was for Jennifer Love Hewitt. So her body has been defined as a wonderland. Yeah, because was it John Mayer who sung that? Who dated her? Or whoever sung that?
I can't remember.
It doesn't matter. But like that is how he defined a song. He created a song, and then we don't even know if that's true. You're so vain, she won't tell people who she's actually written the song about. And apparently someone has paid big money, millions of dollars, to get a little secret envelope. And I love that shit. But yeah, that's that idea to figure it out. Why is violence happening? Why is this happening? We're gonna figure it out.
We're gonna figure it out.
And we mine in the mines, but sometimes we just fucking don't even know what's going on, because it's going to be case by case, and what you value versus what I value are very similar, but there always are little different pieces, and that might change. And if you value something different out there in the world, I'm 100% for it, because I love difference. I love when people value different things, because we wouldn't have such a rich and colorful experience that we live here if I only valued art and you only valued art, and people didn't value other things like sports, or they even though we don't watch sports, they create something and they start to define and they shift values, and it's important. It's very important.
I share an interesting view on sports. I think we should do a whole episode on that.
Oh yeah, dude, we're gonna piss some people off with that one.
I hope so.
Stay in your arena and be distracted. The Greeks created these amphitheaters to distract people and created the celebrity through Core statues, and then Rome built these giant amphitheaters, these arcade structures, and that became theaters. And it's been an escapist dream.
So coming soon to a Rise in Mind episode near you, we're going to be talking about Bread and Circus is what it's called.
Okay. Whatever the fuck that means, buddy.
Give the people bread and circus, and they'll want for nothing and leave us alone.
P.T. Barnum, a sucker's born every day, dude.
Well, it's not just that; it's also a tool that the government uses to keep us distracted and subservient.
Yeah. Ancient Greek did it. Ancient Rome did it. America does it now.
And now we have our foosball.
Foosball. Well, if it's a theater, amphitheater, coliseum, movie theater,
stadium.
They're all the stadium.
Like we're getting into it now. Or this is gonna have to cut this into a whole new episode if we keep talking about it now.
No, we're wrapping up early. Well, not early. We've actually gone
the same
for
amount of time,
over 2 hours.
Yeah.
And Space Vikings right on time. Success. We didn't lose the power. This has been really great. I'm excited. I'm gonna start my day. Hopefully we keep everything. It's not windy as fuck. We have a hurricane coming, but I've had a great time chatting with you, Space Viking, and thank you guys for watching. Yeah, man, this is always fun, and look for some really awesome things. I've been doing some writing that we're going to be introducing here, maybe some drawings to go along with it. And yeah, Rise in Mind, welcome to this metaphysical journey of where we define ourselves through these talks, and we use our art to help us create it. We do some role playing. We're gonna have some fun. We love you guys. What do you got to say? You got a professional outro?
No, we do love you guys. Thank you so much for spending some time with us here.
We'd
talking
love
about
to raid out, but
we
there's
can't.
no way we can do it.
Can't do it. So go follow some of our the people that we're following. Go check them out if they're live. If they're not, go follow them and find a streamer you love.
If you want to see some gaming streams right now, go check out Sharpie. He's a Maine-based. That's SHARPIE. He's a Sega champion. Retro Hitch. He's from I believe the UK. And well, I can't define it, but he's got some people in there. Yeah, check him out. Mike Matei, Angry Video Game Nerd's friend. He's a controversial figure. He's on there, but he's got a lot of love right now.
Yeah.
Mike Matei live. I only shout him out because I met Mike Matei and he bought a painting off me. So you buy artwork from me, hey, you're all right. But we love you guys. Keep digging in the mines, and soon we'll find the answers. We hope. Maybe we'll just stay in the dark forever, dude.
Find the gems.
Absolutely, man.
Thank you again, everybody.